During her appointment, a young girl nervously admitted that she refused to comb her hair. However, what the hairdresser discovered next was deeply unsettling and led her to immediately call the cops. "You don't understand. I'm not touching my hair, and neither are you." Clara snapped, her arms protectively wrapped around her head as though she was shielding herself from an invisible attack. Her mother, Lisa, let out an exasperated sigh, hands on her hips. "Clara, this is ridiculous. You haven't combed your hair in months. It's becoming unmanageable." Clara's defiance was nothing new, but lately it had escalated. Lisa couldn't recall when it started, but her once bubbly and outgoing 14-year-old had withdrawn into herself. Clara had always taken pride in her long, wavy brown hair, but now it hung in a tangled, matted mess, its natural shine replaced with a dull, lifeless texture. Lisa reached for Clara's hand, trying to reason with her. "Honey, it's just a trip to Mrs. Turner's salon. You always liked her. She's so gentle and kind." "No," Clara shouted, pulling away. "I don't want anyone touching me." Lisa froze, stunned by the intensity in her daughter's voice. Clara's words weren't the usual teenage rebellion. They carried a tone of fear that sent a chill through her. Later that evening, Lisa called Mrs. Elaine Turner, a trusted hairdresser in their small town. Elaine had a reputation for her patience and understanding, particularly with children. Lisa explained the situation, her voice tinged with worry. "I think something's wrong, Elaine. Clara's not herself anymore, and her hair. It's worse than I thought. Can you help?" Elaine agreed to take a look, scheduling an early appointment to give them privacy. The next morning, Lisa coaxed Clara into the car with promises of ice cream afterward. Clara reluctantly agreed but refused to remove the hoodie she wore, even as the summer sun bore down. At the salon, Elaine greeted them warmly, her calm demeanor easing some of Lisa's tension. "Hi, Clara. I'm so glad you came to visit me today," Elaine said, her tone light and cheerful. Clara offered a tight smile but remained silent as Elaine led her to the chair. As Lisa settled into a seat across the room, Elaine began to inspect Clara's hair. She gently parted the strands, wincing at what she found. The tangles were severe, but that wasn't what alarmed her. Near the crown of Clara's head, she noticed patches of dark discoloration on the scalp. Sticky clumps of an unknown substance had hardened in some areas, while others were covered in what looked like dirt or dried residue. "Clara, sweetheart," Elaine began softly, "how long has your hair been like this?" Clara didn't respond, her eyes fixed on her lap. Elaine glanced at Lisa, who had risen from her seat, her concern evident. "What's wrong?" Lisa asked. "I don't know yet," Elaine admitted, keeping her voice steady. "But I need to be careful with this. There's more than just tangles here." Lisa's face paled. "I've been asking her to let me help, but she refuses. I thought it was just a phase." Her voice trailed off as guilt began to creep in. Clara squirmed in the chair. "Can we just stop?" she muttered. "Not yet, honey," Elaine replied gently. "I just want to make sure everything's okay. I promise I'll be as gentle as possible." As Elaine continued to work, she noticed Clara flinch whenever she touched certain areas of her scalp. The girl's reactions weren't just from discomfort, they were from pain. Elaine paused, her heart sinking. "Clara, does your head hurt when I touch it?" Clara hesitated before nodding slightly. Lisa stood frozen, the weight of realization hitting her. "Why didn't you tell me you were in pain?" Clara shrugged, her eyes welling with tears. "It doesn't matter." Elaine excused herself, stepping into the back room. She needed to gather her thoughts and figure out how to approach this. She quickly texted her husband, a retired social worker, explaining the situation and asking for advice. His response was immediate. "Look for signs of neglect or harm. This could be more than just a personal issue." Returning to the salon floor, Elaine decided to take a different approach. "Clara," she said gently, "I'm not mad at you, and neither is your mom. But I think there's something going on that you're scared to talk about. You can trust me, okay?" Clara's lip quivered, but she remained silent. As Elaine worked through another section of hair, she discovered a small, hardened object embedded in the matting. Her heart sank as she realized it wasn't a coincidence. It looked like it had been deliberately placed there. Turning to Lisa, Elaine said in a hushed tone, "I'm finding things in her hair that shouldn't be there. I need more time to figure this out, but this isn't normal." Lisa felt her knees go weak. "What do you mean? Things like what?" Elaine hesitated, not wanting to alarm her further. "It's hard to explain right now, but I promise I'll be as careful as I can." Clara suddenly bolted from the chair, dashing toward the bathroom. The sound of the lock clicking echoed through the salon. Lisa's voice cracked as she called after her. "Clara, come out. Please talk to us." Elaine placed a reassuring hand on Lisa's shoulder. "Let's give her a moment. She's scared of something." Inside the bathroom, Clara leaned against the door, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't bring herself to tell the truth. Not yet. The memories of what had happened were too fresh, too painful. Outside, Elaine and Lisa exchanged worried glances, the air thick with unspoken fear. Elaine stepped out of the salon for some time and then came back, her mind racing. Something wasn't right, and it went far beyond tangled hair. She looked at Lisa, who sat anxiously tapping her foot, her eyes darting toward the bathroom door. "I'll talk to her again when she comes out," Elaine said softly. Lisa nodded but didn't look convinced. "She's been shutting me out for months, Elaine. I keep thinking I'm doing something wrong, but I can't figure out what." Elaine crouched beside Lisa, lowering her voice. "Do you know if anything's happened recently at school? Maybe bullies, a fight, anything unusual?" Lisa frowned, racking her brain. There was a day a few months ago when she came home upset. She couldn't tell me what happened, but I thought it was just a bad day. After that, she started wearing hoodies all the time and refused to comb her hair. I should have asked more questions. The bathroom door creaked open and Clara emerged, her hoodie still pulled tightly over her head. She hesitated in the doorway, her eyes darting between her mother and Elaine. "Clara," Elaine said gently, "why don't we take a break and just talk for a bit? You don't have to sit in the chair if you don't want to." Clara hesitated, then nodded slightly. She perched on the edge of a sofa in the corner, her arms wrapped protectively around her knees. Lisa sat beside her, trying to meet her gaze. "Sweetheart, if something's wrong, you can tell us. We just want to help." For a moment, Clara seemed like she might open up. Her lips parted, but no words came. Instead, she turned away, staring at the wall. Elaine decided to try a softer approach. "You know, Clara, I've seen a lot of kids come in with tangled hair before. Sometimes it's because they don't know how to handle it, and sometimes it's because something happened that made them feel like they couldn't. Whatever it is, it's okay to talk about it." Clara shifted uncomfortably. "It's not that simple," she murmured. "Why not?" Lisa pressed, her voice breaking. Clara clenched her fists, her shoulders trembling. "Because they said I couldn't tell," she whispered, barely audible. Elaine exchanged a glance with Lisa, both women instantly alert. "Who said you couldn't tell?" Elaine asked softly. Clara shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It doesn't matter. They'll make it worse." Lisa leaned closer, her heart breaking. "Honey, no one is going to hurt you. You're safe here, I promise." Clara buried her face in her knees, refusing to say more. Elaine took a deep breath, deciding to continue working on the hair while Clara sat on the sofa. "If it's okay, I'm just going to take another look. I'll be as gentle as I can, and you can tell me to stop anytime." Clara nodded faintly, her body rigid as Elaine resumed her careful work. She uncovered another section of matted hair, where something unusual caught her eye. Embedded in the tangles were tiny fragments of a dried, sticky substance. It smelled faintly of chemicals, and there were more patches of dark discoloration on Clara's scalp. "What is this?" Elaine muttered under her breath. Clara flinched. "It's nothing." Elaine's voice was steady but firm. "Sweetheart, this doesn't look like nothing. Did someone put something in your hair?" Clara's silence spoke volumes. Elaine set down her tools, her chest tight with dread. She turned to Lisa. "I think we need to have a serious conversation. This isn't just about tangled hair." Lisa looked at her daughter, her expression a mix of fear and determination. "Clara, please, whatever happened, we can fix it. Just tell us." Clara's breathing quickened, and for a moment, it seemed like she might run again. But this time, Elaine gently placed a hand on her shoulder. You're safe here, Clara. No one is going to hurt you. But I need to know what happened so we can help. Clara hesitated, then finally whispered, It was at school. Lisa froze. At school? What happened? Clara wiped her eyes, her voice trembling. It was a few girls. They ed me in the bathroom. They said I was ugly and stupid, and they poured glue in my hair. Her voice cracked, and she broke down into sobs. Lisa's hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Oh my God, Clara, why didn't you tell me? They said they'd do it worse if I told anyone. Clara choked out. Elaine felt the surge of anger and sadness. She gently hugged Clara. I'm so sorry this happened to you, sweetheart, but you did nothing wrong, and this isn't your fault. Lisa knelt beside her daughter, stroking her back. We're going to fix this. I promise you. Those girls won't get away with it. Elaine took a deep breath, her voice calm but firm. Lisa, I think it's time to call the authorities. This isn't just bullying. It's abuse. Clara panicked, shaking her head. No, you can't. They'll know it was me. Elaine crouched to meet Clara's gaze. They won't hurt you anymore, I promise. But we need to make sure they're held accountable. You're not alone in this, Clara. Lisa hesitated, torn between her daughter's fear and the need for justice. Finally, she nodded. Elaine's right. We have to do this. Elaine immediately stepped into the back room to make the call, her hands trembling slightly as she explained the situation to the cops. When she returned, she found Clara leaning against her mother, finally allowing herself to be comforted. The police car arrived just as Clara tightened her grip on her mother's arm. Lisa whispered words of comfort, but Clara's body was trembling. Elaine gently explained the situation to the two officers who stepped into the salon, their professional but empathetic expressions immediately putting Lisa somewhat at ease. One officer, Detective Susan Miller, knelt down to Clara's level, her voice calm and steady. Hi Clara, my name's Susan. I'm here to help, and I promise you're safe with us. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened? Clara didn't respond, her face buried in Lisa's side. Elaine, standing nearby, carefully interjected. She's scared, but we've uncovered enough here to show this isn't just a bad hair situation. Elaine gestured toward her tools and the evidence she'd found, glue-like clumps and other foreign objects embedded in Clara's hair. Detective Miller examined the materials with a frown. This looks deliberate, she muttered to her partner, Officer Daniels. Lisa's voice wavered as she spoke. She told us a group of girls at school poured glue in her hair and threatened her. She's been too scared to tell anyone. Clara's small, broken voice interrupted. They said I deserved it. They said if I told, that they'd find me again. Detective Miller's eyes softened as she crouched down. Clara, I know this is scary, but what those girls did to you is very wrong. And it's not your fault. They hurt you. And it's our job to make sure they can't hurt anyone else. Clara peeked out from behind Lisa, her tear-streaked face full of hesitation. What if they don't stop? They will, Miller assured her firmly, because we'll make sure of it. And we'll keep you safe. As Miller asked more questions, Elaine continued working on Clara's hair with extreme care. Slowly, she uncovered areas where the glue had hardened so much it had caused sores on Clara's scalp. Other sections revealed broken strands and signs of patches being forcibly ripped out. Elaine paused, her hand shaking. This didn't just happen once, she said quietly, her voice filled with anger and sadness. Lisa looked horrified. What do you mean? Elaine hesitated. These kinds of injuries take time to develop. It looks like this has been going on for months. Clara's silence was all the confirmation they needed. Miller stood up, her tone resolute. We'll start by identifying the girls involved and taking their statements. Clara, if you're ready, we'd like you to help us, but only when you feel safe enough to do so. The officers took the evidence Elaine had collected and left with a promise to follow up. Clara looked exhausted, as if the weight of months of fear and shame was finally crashing down on her. Elaine gently finished trimming the damaged portions of Clara's hair, leaving her with a short but neat style. There, she said with a smile. You look beautiful, Clara, and strong. Clara glanced at herself in the mirror, her fingers brushing the freshly cut strands. For the first time in months, A small shy smile appeared on her face. In the weeks that followed, the investigation unfolded. Clara identified the girls responsible, and with the evidence gathered by the police and Elaine's testimony, the culprits were held accountable. The school was forced to take action, suspending the girls and implementing new anti-bullying measures. The community rallied around Clara, with neighbors and friends offering their support. Elaine became a regular visitor at their home, helping Clara regain her confidence one step at a time. Lisa, however, struggled with guilt. One evening, as she sat with Elaine on the back porch, she broke down. "I should have noticed sooner. I should have pushed harder when she started pulling away." Elaine placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You did the best you could with what you knew, Lisa. And when it mattered, you fought for her. That's what counts." Inside, Clara was slowly rediscovering herself. Therapy sessions with a compassionate counselor helped her process the trauma, and over time, she began to open up about her experience at school. Clara found new friends who stood by her side, encouraging her to participate in activities she once loved, and so, she eventually joined the art club. Months after the incident, Clara's life had begun to take a new shape. However, the road to healing was far from over, and there were still moments when Clara doubted herself. One morning, Clara sat at the kitchen table, idly sketching in her notebook. Lisa placed a plate of pancakes in front of her. "You seem deep in thought," Lisa said, her tone gentle. Clara shrugged, staring at her drawing. It was an image of a tree with broken branches but strong roots. "Sometimes I feel like people are only nice to me because they feel bad, like they're just pretending." Lisa sat down beside her, pulling Clara into a side hug. "Sweetheart, you've been through so much, but people care about you because of who you are, not because they pity you. You're brave, kind, and talented. Never forget that." Clara offered a small smile but didn't respond. Later that day, Elaine stopped by with a surprise. She walked into the house holding a box wrapped in colorful paper. "Hey Clara, I bought you something." Clara's eyes lit up with curiosity. "What is it?" "Open and find out," Elaine said, grinning. Clara tore off the wrapping paper to reveal a set of professional art supplies, paints, brushes, pencils, and a sketch pad. Her face lit up with excitement. "This is amazing. Thank you so much," Elaine winked. "I heard from your mom that you've been drawing a lot lately. I thought you could use some tools to take it to the next level." As the weeks passed, Clara began using her art to express herself. She painted vivid images of resilience, strength, and hope, each piece reflecting a part of her journey. Her therapist encouraged her to share her work. Elaine remained a close friend and mentor, her salon now a place of comfort and encouragement for Clara. For the first time in a long time, Clara felt strong enough to face whatever came next. As she sat in her room one evening, sketching a new drawing, she thought back to the day at the salon when everything had changed. The fear, the pain, the uncertainty, they were all still part of her. But so were courage, love, and the unwavering support of the people around her. And for that, she was grateful. Do you think small actions can hide big secrets? What would you have done if you were in the hairdresser's place? Thank you for watching this incredible story. Be sure to join us again for more gripping and unforgettable tales.